Today's episode is all about how you can get started with freelance writing. I brought on Carol Tice, a professional writer and someone who knows what she's talking about, because she helps new writers get paid and get paid well. The theme of today's podcast is about how you can make your first $100 freelance writing. When you're done listening, you will have several concrete steps you can take to start making money writing. You will also know some of the most common pitfalls to avoid, and all in all, you'll learn a lot and you'll feel motivated to take action. So with that said, let's dive into the interview. Alrighty, so I'm here with Carol Tice, and today we'll be talking about how to make your first $100 freelance writing. So Carol, did I pronounce your last name right?
You did.
Awesome.
You rock.
Yeah, already.
Yeah.
So could you share a bit, I guess the logical part would be to start with who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, I am a longtime professional writer. I was a freelance writer back a long time ago and got into it kind of by accident from songwriting the first time. And then I freelanced for about 5-6 years. And then I did 12 years as a staff writer. And then since late 2005, I've been freelancing again, earning more each year straight through the U.S. economic downturn, earning 6 figures in 2011. And I teach other writers how to make more on my Make a Living Writing blog and in my community Freelance Writers Den.
Awesome. That pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
So jumping in right into the topic, do you have, what would be the first step for someone? Let's assume they're completely new and they have writing skills, obviously, but they don't know how to start with freelance writing. So what would be the first step?
Yeah, and boy, do I get that question all the time. Just I can't find where is the entry gate I go through to start doing this. And I'll start with the one I used the first time, which was entering contests. To me, new writers should always keep their eyes peeled for contests, particularly ones that don't have any entrance fees. There's lots of kind of scammy contests out there that basically just make a lot of money off entrance fees. But the two that I entered were put on by local publications of mine. And you can tell you found the right contest when you look at it and you just go, oh my gosh, it is like they cooked up this contest just for me because I have something to write that is just exactly what this contest is asking for. And that was true in both of the cases of the contests I entered. And I think the first one I entered paid $200. And it totally changed my life. I was literally like taking my song recording equipment, which back then was like reel-to-reel 4-track machines, and handing them to people and just going, take this away. I don't need it anymore. I found the kind of writing people pay you for. And I just kind of never looked back. And the thing people don't know about winning contests is that it's really better than the couple $100 or whatever they give you as a prize. What you really get out of the contest is meeting the editors who judged the contest. And that was what both of the contests that I worked on, I ended up writing for those publications on an ongoing basis. So that's one that's, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of contests. I mean, the writer's market lists scads of them.
So where would someone find some of these contests?
Well, as I just said, the writer's market has a whole section.
Is that a website?
No, it's a reference guide, and if you don't know about it as a new writer, you should know about it. And I don't just say that because I'm on the cover of it this year, but I just wrote one of the articles that's in the front of it, and I didn't know that was going to happen, and I'm still freaked out about it. But it is a huge sort of doorstop-sized reference guide to paying markets for freelancers. And get your hands on it. It will help you. Um, but besides entering contests, the other just sort of basic way that freelance writers get started, often kind of in the way that I did, sort of accidentally, sort of organically, is by approaching people you already know and either getting them to hire you to do a couple of free samples to create a little starter portfolio, which you can then use to pitch companies and publications and get paying work, or they can refer you someone. So I tend to think of, everyone you already know, friends and family, let them all know, hey, I'm looking to do some writing work. And beyond there, publications you read, small businesses that are locally owned that you patronize, organizations and nonprofits where you volunteer your time and donate and are involved and like what they're doing. Um, these are the basic places where entry level writers are going to find a gig. And the trick is to make a connection. When you don't have writing experience, what you have to sell is your life experience, that you know about the topic that they need help with. So maybe you have a personal blog and you see that the blog of the, tire shop around the corner hasn't been updated in a year. So that means they understand that blogging could help their business and they tried to do it, but they don't have the bandwidth to do it themselves. And that's your opening. Hey, I love you guys. I've been having my car fixed here for ages. I see your blog's not working for you. No one's updating it. Could you use some help with that? Uh, these are the kind of places that most freelance writers are going to end up doing their first kind of gigs for. And you're probably surprised that I didn't say go on Craigslist and look at a bunch of ads or apply to a bunch of websites. And there's a reason that I didn't say that first. And it's because there's so many scams on the internet. And the quality of what you're going to be asked to do often is really crummy. If you want to build a career as a freelance writer, you don't want to end up in one of these cesspools writing 4 articles a day of SEO keyword density X you're basically writing for robots to read. If you want to build a career in this, you want to write for people to read. That's the difference, and that's the pay difference, is that anyone can write SEO garbage. So it never pays well. People are constantly on, millions of writer chat forums going, can you believe they only pay $5 an article for this? It's so horrible. And why do they do that? They do that because it doesn't take any talent to do what they're asking. So if you want to do this for a living and make good money at it, start by making your first $100 doing the kind of work that will get you more good paying work. You could just join demand and write 5 articles and you'll earn $100.
Yeah. It sounds like most of the opportunities are kind of hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, well, I feel like the internet has posed a huge distraction to people who are looking to start careers as freelance writers because it's so easy to get a little work online. But the problem is that most of that work, a ton of that work, is not very good quality work, and it doesn't help you. In my Freelance Writers Den community, it has 600 members, and we're constantly getting writers who'll say, I've been writing for Examiner or Demand Studios or Associated Content or one of these mills for years, and I have all these ghost written clips that don't have my name on them, and now I've finally learned that the reputation of these sites is horrible and that these clips don't help me get any jobs. And really, just skip this. You can skip this step. There seems to be a conventional wisdom out there that you need to do this, that this is the place to break in. And my contrary position is that it really isn't. It doesn't help you. It's because it doesn't resemble the real world of client relationships that you'll have as a freelance writer.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems easier to try to go online and write, but it's in fact harder if you think about it long term.
Well, it's harder to earn. As,
Yeah.
just there's so many sort of tar pits you can get stuck in where you're having to work ridiculous hours to make some tiny pittance and it never gets any better. And so, yeah, I mean, you could earn your first $100 that way, but the problem is what I like to call my Newtonian laws of freelancing, one of which is work of one kind tends to give birth to more work of that same kind on a similar topic and at a similar pay rate. So when you write for the small business down the street and you blog for them, um, that's the kind of thing that bigger businesses will pay $100 or more a post for. So you're laying a foundation block of a type of work that pays well, that you can go out and find good paying clients for. Whereas if you're writing SEO junk, that only gives birth to more SEO junk that doesn't qualify you to do anything better paying in the future. So you're just in a trap.
Yeah. So do you want to go into more different ways people can get started, or do you want to dive into the things you've already covered here?
Well, I'll give you two more things. So when I moved up to the Seattle area, I was kind of starting over as a writer in a way because I just felt like nobody up here knew me and I didn't have any clips here and I hadn't really talked to anyone local and I wanted to get my name out. And two things I did were I wrote a couple articles as a volunteer for the newspaper, the sort of little promotional newspaper that my regional library system puts out. So, I interviewed a few authors and wrote about events that were coming to the library and things to just get a few clips. And the other place I started out that I think they paid $200 an article is if you live in any kind of major metropolitan area, as you walk around the city, you'll see little news boxes that have little freebie publications in them. Sometimes they're alternative papers like the Village Voice in New York, or they're just little job newspapers. The one I wrote for was called Today's Careers, and it was just job ads. And they needed a few articles in it so that, people would pick it up and start looking at through the ads. And it was really, these were easy markets to get started in. And I'd say, you said you want to talk more about this. Before we dive any further, I'd say the big thing to say is I feel like a lot of people are held back from pursuing these more legit type of freelance writing initial gigs because they feel unqualified. They feel inadequate, and that's why they need to go write on a content mill for a while so that they'll feel legit somehow. But the fact is, you can find a type of writing that you can understand and do there is no degree required. I don't have a degree. Really, no one cares how you learned it or where you learned it. You can learn it from studying the publication you want to be in. And then start with easy types of assignments. Do things like a Q&A with one source where you're really just transcribing an interview transcript, or write up a restaurant you went to or a play you saw. Just there are easy sort of entry level types of writing you can do that feel journalistic and legit, but don't require a lot of, advanced ninja skills, but get you going in the right direction. So that's just sort of what I advocate.
So one thing that pops up is, do you ever help international clients do the same? I would imagine it's the same thing, but just in a different language most of the time.
We have a pretty international audience in my Freelance Writers Den community. I think it's mostly English speaking or people who want to write in English. But yeah, often when I get writers who are like, I'm in the Philippines or India or somewhere and I want to break into freelance writing, the big first piece of advice I give them is to establish their business in their own language first. Find some clients and write in your own language. Um, to me, it's sort of like trying to, juggle a bunch of balls while you hop on a chair on one foot when you're trying to break in a different language than your native language.
Yeah, it's much easier to start where you are, basically.
Yeah, and it's kind of a myth that, there's no good writing work anywhere except in the USA. Uh, that's just really baloney. There are companies everywhere that need marketing done. And if you think only US companies have the money, figure out the US companies that are doing business in your country and need to communicate to customers in your country and write in your language for them. There's more than one way to skin this. But I guess I want to say that the vast majority of English as a second language writers I run across do not have the English skills to write for American clients for
Yeah.
for any decent money. They can write SEO stuff, but just be realistic about that. You have to work hard, hard, hard on your English proficiency if you think you're going to earn as an outside the US writer in English.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously there are great success stories like Bamidele Onabalusi, and he has worked brutally, brutally hard. He's in Nigeria, but his English is fantastic. But you have to work at it really hard. I'm constantly getting letters. I got a letter last night, classic example of just like, I was wondering if you could give me some advices on how I could learn to be a better English writer. And I really can't. You have to go out and master the language first.
Yeah, I get that quite
Do-
often as well. And it's really about just putting in the work. And I've been using English since I was, I think, 6 or 7 years old. So over 20 years.
Yeah. What else can I tell you about earning that first money? The thing I would say is I feel like everybody wants to earn from minute one. And that's why they go to the content mills, because then they're like, yippee, $15, I'm earning money, I feel so legit. But um, to me, it's a much smarter strategy to build a portfolio with really great clips that you might do for free and then use those to get paying gigs at real rates. That's the shortcut away from spending years at really low rates, is go out and find some great clients that you can do some small projects for pro bono on the proviso that they will keep it a secret that you didn't get paid, and they will give you a testimonial if they liked it. And then you have this nice portfolio full of glowing reviews about what a great writer you are. And you can go out and start pitching mid-market size companies, mid-size publications, regional lifestyle magazines, uh, corporations with 10 million in revenue, and getting real rates, getting 50, 75, $100 an hour and making a real living.
So finding those early clients, we talked a little bit about the like car shop who had a blog they weren't updating, and
Mhm.
then just emailing them or calling them up. Is that basically
Yeah,
what you recommend?
absolutely. Yeah, in whatever mode, I always say people should market in whatever mode they're willing to do. Everyone says, tell me the one, Carol, the one most efficient, low cost, best way to market my freelance writing? And the answer is the way that you are willing to do.
Yeah.
Because what I find is most writers are not willing to market themselves. That's why content mills are able to profit off your back, is because they know so many writers are too frightened and lazy to market themselves. And they would so much rather get paid a few dimes if they could just pull the assignment off a dashboard without having to pitch anybody.
Yeah.
But if you are willing to buck up your courage and go out there and pitch somebody, then you can make a lot more money. So I just find that most first clients, and I mean, I just see this all the time coaching hundreds and hundreds of writers, it's going to be sort of something you have some personal connection to. And then you're going to reach out in whatever way makes sense to you. Maybe you're going to shoot them a marketing email. A lot of writers, marketing, writing is is our thing that we excel at. So a lot of us like to do written forms of marketing. I know other people who get all their assignments on the phone or by dropping by stores and chatting people up. It really depends on the person how you do that reach out. But the trick is, and it's never been easier to make a sophisticated marketing pitch to a company because, of course, everyone's marketing materials are online now. You can sit at home and go through all the companies in your town, look at all their websites, find the ones that need help and call them and say, don't say your website sucked, but say, hey, I saw your website and, I noticed it doesn't have this missing piece. It doesn't have a strong about page that tells the history of your amazing 50-year-old company. It doesn't have team bios. It doesn't have any client success stories about how happy people are after they use your product or service. I would love to add that to your site. Um, when you do that research and then you present that to the client where it's like, I have already analyzed your marketing, I get your company, I use your product, I am your customer, and I'm a freelance writer. It's like an irresistible offer.
Yeah.
You are the writer they are looking for. And there is no more pent-up need in America than for marketing writing help. Every small business owner in America is looking at their marketing materials, knowing they suck, and wishing they had the writing skill to fix it. They don't know how. They don't have time to look for a writer. And when you call them, half the time they're like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." They're so grateful because you're going to solve a big problem for them.
So really, when it comes to pitching, it's not this magical formula where you do one, like you have to structure a pitch correctly. It's basically just finding websites that are lacking, calling them up and seeing if they need help.
Well, no, I think there is a structure to it.
Okay.
I think I kind of just went over what the elements of it are. It's here's my personal connection to your publication. I read it all the time, or your business. I come in your bakery all the time, whatever it is. Or I just saw in the newspaper that you announced that you acquired this other bakery and now you're going to be like a mini chain. Isn't that awesome? Um, you say something that makes them feel you understand their business. You understand their reader, you understand their customer, and then you reveal your research. I've analyzed your marketing, and this is what I saw that could make it better and get you more customers. Or this is the article topic that it seems like you're not covering that I think your readers would be really interested in. So those are sort of the elements. Ed Gandia from International Freelancers Academy likes to call it making a warm connection. So you warm up the customer by showing how you're connected. You understand the business, you use the business, you read the publication. And then you bring in your life experience, if you haven't already. As it happens, I was an accountant, so that's why I understand how to write your accountant website so customers will understand it. And then you spotlight a missing piece of their marketing that could be better, which is much better than saying, wow, your web content really needs a rewrite. It's really got a lot of errors. What you do is get in with the missing piece. Then you start talking to them about those problems. Because, once you have a relationship, you can say, wow, now that we have these awesome case studies, let's look at that homepage and you can see how it could be better, right?
Yeah.
That's when you start to turn it into more of an ongoing thing and you start improving more and more elements of their marketing. But to me, the missing piece is the way in the door.
Yeah. So first focus on one piece and then see what
Yeah.
else you can do.
Yeah. Once you kill at that, then they go, wow, this is fantastic. And they start getting a million compliments from people. They start getting more clients or, they get letters from readers. I loved this article, and then they know they want to work with you more.
So far we've covered contests and businesses you already know or local businesses and then volunteer newspapers. Do you have any other things you want to cover?
Boy, write your own blog and use it to get paid blogging gigs. That's another increasingly popular one. If you want to use the internet, that's how I got all of the paid blogging gigs that I have. And at one point, as many people know, I was making as much as $5,000 a month just from blogging for clients. So, the real power that the internet gives you is the ability to create writing samples of your own. And when you write a blog, you can make them anything you want. You could talk to three different experts and create a fully reported journalistic article that you put on your blog. And then you can send that to a magazine and say, look, I'm capable of writing magazine quality work. Take a look at this. So that to me is the real power of how you can harness the internet to get started as a freelance writer is you can write a really quality blog and leverage that. For me, I was already writing for Entrepreneur Magazine, and they, talking to an editor, said to me, "Oh, we had an editor blogging, and now we're going to outsource that, and we're looking for someone to do it." And I was like, "Oh, me, I have a blog." I think it had 6 posts on it at the time. They took probably a 2-second look at it and went, "Aha, awesome! Someone who knows how to blog, who also is a journalist." And I blogged for them 3 times a week for 3 years. So these can turn into really, the thrill of getting blogging work is it's ongoing. It's ongoing contract type work. And from there, if you can get on any kind of prominent blog, and this is why guest posting is another great sort of freebie writing portfolio building strategy, clients will notice you and start to call you. And everyone I know who's doing paid blogging says that. And the thrill of doing paid blogging is, of course, the blog posts you're being paid for are also up on websites promoting you.
Yeah.
They've got a link, hopefully back to an author profile or back to a website of yours. And it creates a daisy chain where, it creates an inbound marketing machine for you where clients are like, oh, I saw you on Forbes and I wish you would, get me 20,000 views on this post. And you keep getting hired. So that to me is the great new avenue. And blogging for a company is like the gateway drug to doing more expensive work for them.
So when clients ask, like, I wish you could write a post for me that gets 20,000 views, does that mean that the writer has to do the marketing or?
Sometimes. Depends on the contract. I've done ones where, it's in part dependent on me promoting it, and in others they have a team promoting it.
Okay, so have you ever run into, like, you write the article and then you don't reach the goal that they had?
Sure, yeah. I've had ones where it just didn't click, but yeah. Yeah, it doesn't always work. Everything we do doesn't turn out perfect, which is another thing a lot of new writers don't seem to know. I get a lot of, I'm afraid I'll make that one mistake that'll ruin everything, and then the Universal Editor Network will be contacted and everyone will be told to never hire me again and my life will be ruined. But that will never happen, okay? So you can stop being scared of that because that's not going to happen to you.
So one thing, when you do paid blogging gigs, is it important to have a relevant blog, because you don't want to have a blog about cats and then be looking for something else?
No, you know what? I think there's a lot of confusion about that. Your personal blog does not have to be about anything in particular. It has to be about one niche topic, but it doesn't have to be about, business marketing or something. My blog is about helping freelance writers earn more money, but I've gotten gigs off of that in which I blog about the surety bond industry and business finance. And so what you can do is take what you should blog about is something you're passionate about because you have to develop a lot of blog topics and you won't keep it up and it won't be good quality writing if you hate the topic of it. It has to be something you're really enthusiastic about doing. And as long as that is not pornography or, how horrible your family life is, your struggle with being a manic depressive, or something that would really drive clients away
Yeah.
aggressively, that would be a real turnoff. It can really be about any topic. I don't find that you have to write your blog sort of for prospects. It's great if you can do that because then you can just build an email list, get subscribers to it, and they are your prospects and it's all beautiful. But most of the people I know don't seem like they're excited by the idea of that blog. They really want to write about tattoos or quilting or geocaching or something they're into in their lives. And you should, as long as you know how to stick to a niche and you learn how to write great headlines. And what prospects for blogging gigs do is they come on your blog, they scan the headlines, and they see if they're all about a topic or if they're all over the place. They see if the design is not a clutter mess, and they look to see if you are getting engagement, if you're getting comments and people are retweeting it and you're responding to those comments. Those are the basic elements of what they want you to do on their blog. So if they see that you know how to do those things on your blog, and maybe your blog is about, your love of kittens, but you also used to work in a bank, then you can use what I like to call the law of simple addition to say, I know how to blog and I also know about personal finance. Therefore, I could blog for your personal finance consulting company. You kind of put the two elements together.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask about if you were writing about, say, knitting, and then you wanted to write for, or a client has like a banking thing, then how would they would probably email you or ask you if you have a services page and then go from there, or look at your about page.
Well, if you only have a blog and you don't have a writer portfolio, you want a hire me tab on your blog because
Yeah.
most people are going to assume that you just write for your own personal enjoyment unless you have a hire me tab that tells them, hey, I actually do this for other people.
Yeah.
And or you may have a whole writer site with a portfolio and, testimonials and lots of stuff about yourself. But yeah, at the very least, you need an about with some contact information, not one of those forms people hate to fill out, but an actual email address for yourself at the very least, maybe a Skype phone number, something. I actually have a cell phone that I rarely turn on that I leave as my phone number, and then I can check it once a day and just see if anybody's calling.
Before we wrap things up, because you've given us a lot of goodies here, one thing I wanted to cover is, what mistakes do you see people make?
Yeah. What mistakes do I see people make? Just a lot of getting stuck in really low-paying situations. I mean, the mistake is basically just that most writers are really dogged by low self-esteem problems, and those cause them to not negotiate for fair pay and to not ask for raises and to not ask for what they're worth off the bat and to not even approach quality clients because they just feel, oh, I'm just not qualified to do this. And the more you can get over that, I'm always saying the big problem isn't the economy. People are like, oh, well, I can't earn any money now. It's like I only get $20 an hour because the economy is really bad and I live in a small town and there's a lot of unemployment, blah, blah. No, none of that is the problem. The problem is between your ears about how you feel about putting yourself out there as a writer. Every writer I know that is aggressively marketing is finding decent paying clients. There's plenty of market opportunity out there. And I think the thing that writers don't get is that what you do is valuable. That if you like writing, you should know that most people hate writing and think it's a torture. And they would love to pay you to do their writing for them so they don't have to. I think there's just not an appreciation of that we offer something of value. You're not
Yeah.
bothering people by marketing to them. You have something valuable to offer.
So do you have any tips you give to people that are like stuck in the low confidence rut, or is it simply getting to that point where you're so sick of being there that you actually take action?
Yeah, I've said before that the question people say, well, I'm staying in my comfort zone, but the question is, how are you really comfortable in that comfort zone? Are you really uncomfortable with the fact that you know you're capable of more and you're not putting yourself out there? At some point, there's a tipping point where you realize you think you're in a comfort zone by not marketing your writing, but really you're in a discomfort zone of knowing that you're not living the creative life you were meant to live. You're not out there getting your writing out and saying what you want to say and shining your light out in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're comfortable not facing your fears, but you're uncomfortable not putting your everything into life and really letting your creativity shine.
Right. Yeah, and I get a lot of, oh, well, I don't know, it might take a long time, and I'm so old, and as dear Abby used to say, well, how old will you be in 5 years if you don't go for it?
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
You'll still be 5 years older, and you just won't be living the lifestyle that you want. If you want to be a freelance writer and be your own boss, I'm sitting here on my couch, looking out at my trees, um, with my laptop on my knees, and you know if I feel like going, this morning I went for a walk for an hour because I felt like it. Later, I'll take a shower in the middle of the day. Just if this is the lifestyle you want, where you control your time and you are the boss, then it's going to involve putting yourself out there to make it happen. I do a ton of posts about conquering fears. I'm very lucky that I didn't really come from a fear-based place. I was kind of too stupid to know that it was supposed to be terrifying. And also, I left a lot of my sort of fears and phobias behind in songwriting, where I had massive live performing fears that made it difficult actually for me to sing. I would sing myself hoarse very quickly because I was so stressed. And when I got into writing prose, I sort of left a lot of that behind and just thought it was so fun because no one had to watch me performing it. To me, it was all so easy by comparison that I just thought it was great. But I think one of the things that I was raised with that really helped me is that, my dad used to teach us to look in the mirror every morning and say, damn, I'm good. Really take a moment to appreciate that there is no other writer who could do what you do in the universe. You are totally unique. Your life experiences, the style that you write in is completely unique. You're one of a kind in the marketplace. You're not one of millions and millions of writers and, oh, there's so much competition and how will I ever stand out? You'll stand out because you're you. There is no other you. So know that.
So something that this brings up before we end this is this topic about finding your writing voice. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, write a lot.
Yeah, that's basically my thing as well.
Keep writing. Write some more. Get feedback on your writing. And then one day you'll write something that people will respond to. I remember I was writing for a business journal for just years and years. And then one day I wrote an op-ed piece that was really humorous and snarky called I've Got a Problem with Solutions, with the overuse of the word solutions in business. How everyone now is like, we offer, you know, delivery solutions, instead of saying like we have trucks, we drive around town. And people responded to that so much, and it was like, oh wow, I need to put more of my personality into my writing. People like that. People respond to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's never been more true than now on the internet, where it really is so much about having personal style in your writing. So develop it. Yeah. Write it. Play with it. Be willing to do something that doesn't work. You've got to just get out there and start making mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. I misspelled an 80-point front page headline once when I was an editor. Just really, you're going to make mistakes. Just go out, hurry up and make them so you can learn from them and get better gigs and get better at your writing.
Yeah, I feel like I am where I am today, being able to work from home because I've just made a bunch more mistakes than most people have, and I've wasted or not really wasted, but I've just made mistakes, spent some money on crap, and really been willing to take action and not give up.
Yeah, I think you said it. Yeah.
So do you have any last words before we say bye-bye?
If you want to write, then you have to do it. Just get out there. Start telling people you want to do it for pay. Don't stop till you're building a business, doing it. Treat it like a business. Realize that it is a business. I think that's the big mindset difference, that writers like to think of ourselves as magical, artistic people. We're creative and sitting around moving paragraphs from here to there. But if you want to do it for a living, it's a business. So learn the business side of it. I think the big advantage I had was that I was a business reporter. So I was immersed in the business world when I went into freelancing. So I instinctively knew that it was a business and I should treat it that way. And most writers don't.
Yeah, I like the simplicity of that. It's really the same in anything. If you want to do something, then start doing it and then let the pieces fall into place.
Right on.
So if people want to know more about you, where can they find you?
I'm at www.makealivingwriting.com. And if you sign up for my blog, you get a 20-week course that's Marketing 101 for freelance writers. So that exposes you to a lot of different methods of marketing your business.
Very awesome. So I guess that's all I wanted to cover here. It's been a pleasure asking lots of questions and having you on here.
Thanks a ton. Thanks for having me, Henry.
And that's that for the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Carol shared some great actionable tips, which I hope you act on. Freelance writing can be a great way to get started making a living online. It can fund your lifestyle business, or it can become your lifestyle business. Always remember, when you're just starting out and you're about to take action on anything new, your gremlins will make an appearance. You will be afraid, you will want to run away, but that's when you know you're onto something. It's not a sign that you should run away, but a sign that you're on the right track and that you should keep going. So if you want more goodies on how to build a thriving lifestyle business, just come visit me over at wakeupcloud.com and check out the free goodies. There's a lot in store there waiting for you, and I'm sure you'll be excited once you see what's actually there. So that's all for this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. This is Henry, signing out. Have a good one.